Where do we leave off? Skate Fest? Did we talk
We're
about
done.
that?
Recreation's finished, sir.
Oh, you're finished? Okay. Well, I'm going to open it back up again.
Okay.
While we're here, we have everyone in place here. Laura, the Recreation Commission approved a request by the Amelia Elementary PTA to use Spencer Shank Park for their annual fall festival. The school district will now not allow the PTA or PTO, whatever you call it now, to use school grounds at the end of the school year to host their large fundraising event. And they've asked for our support, and the Recreation Commission has authorized that pending your legal review. Is this something you're going to need some time on?
There are a couple issues. I'll probably have to get some factual info. There's several issues.
Okay. Can we want to have their committee chairperson? Can the committee chairperson contact you directly?
That makes more sense.
Okay.
Let's do that. You can make that.
We can do that. I can make that happen.
All right. Why don't you play I said something? The first time anybody's been glad I said something. Next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee report. Presented this evening by Finance Committee Chairperson Chuck Thacker.
So we're ready for my debut, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. This is a report from 7/12. The members in attendance were Mayor Ellington, Fiscal Officer Kevin Pyle, and Council Members Campbell and Thacker. The Commission discussed our official certificate of estimated resources for 2012. It's basically a rough estimate of the maximum potential revenue the Village of Amelia expects to generate in 2012. After the discussion, the Commission recommended approving Fiscal Officer Pyle's estimate. Fiscal Officer Pyle led a brief discussion on our fund numbering system and the different levels to which Council could appropriate the funds. It was suggested that we might want to discuss appropriating funds at the program level instead of the more detailed appropriations. We currently do at a future meeting. There was also some discussion about how levies work when property values decline. When property values decline, the effective rate of the levy increases until it either generates the same amount of the revenue or reaches the millage the levy was originally certified for. I respectfully submit. Check that.
Thank you.
Did I get most of that pretty right, Kevin?
Beautiful job.
Pretty much.
All right.
Just want to be a little more specific. It was the tax budget for 2012.
I just pulled this name off the sheet of the paper we had it on.
Yeah, the certificate of estimated resources is part of the tax budget.
So the whole shoot match with the tax budget. Okay.
Next item on the agenda then is the approval of outstanding bills, which are right here. Looks like from the period of July 6th through the 13th. Entertain a motion from council with regard to this, the bills.
I'll make a motion to accept the bills.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
5-0 passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is one thing I'd like to insert at this point. Dealing with the bills. One thing I presented to council members is something I just ran today. It's to give you a rough idea of what last year's certificate of resources estimated we'd get this year and what has actually been received through basically Friday. The percentages are how much of that estimate has actually been received. It's just informational. Come December or so, we'll have to go through all these anticipated receipts, compare them to the actual receipts, and make adjustments accordingly for a final certificate of resources from the County Budget Commission.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is executive session. Before we move the executive session, though, rather than keeping everybody sitting out here in their seats waiting for us to be in the other room talking, wanted to open the floor to council input, public input. If anyone here has anything they'd like to address council about, so you don't have to stay unless you want to. Once we return from executive session, we have a few pieces of legislation for consideration. One for a second reading on an ordinance. One is pledging cooperation regarding the Church Street and Chapel Road Improvements Project, a second reading. Those two will not happen. And the last two pieces of legislation will be for legislation for hiring of employees. Just want to tell you what you'd be missing if you don't stay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to talk. Come up
Please
there.
do.
Yeah, I was going to ask Julie this after the meeting, but maybe you can tell me. I believe, isn't there an ordinance in Amelia against solicitation?
Yeah, I believe so.
Does this count as solicitation? Stuff on everybody's mailbox in Woodside Park, which I believe used to be against federal law to put anything in a mailbox. Maybe that was when it was.
You actually put it in your mailbox or on?
No, on the flag.
On the flag.
Flag is fine.
Okay. But is this considered solicitation?
Technically, it's not permitted, but the post office generally doesn't take them off the flag.
Okay.
They take them out of the,
Because this is the first time we've had anything on there other than pizza.
yeah, that generally is not solicitation. People are permitted to, it's commercial speech, businesses have a right to speech, so that's technically, solicitation deals mainly with door to door.
Okay, I see what you're talking about. The salesman.
So recycle that and don't buy their services.
Yeah.
Don't like them.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anything else before we move to executive session? Chief? Unless you're just dying to stay and see what happens. Take the rest of the evening off, and Rick, do the same. Julie, unfortunately, may need you because there may be some directives for you.
Go look for Sparks?
And the same for you, Rick.
was gonna say,
Take off, unless you're just dying to sit here.
Mayor, I think we may need Rick, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes,
want to see
no.
how the employee.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Chief, we want
Okay.
you to find Sparky.
All right, I'll go up one.
Okay.
Well, we will take.
Or adopt a new
I
one.
mean, I know Smokey's around somewhere.
You're right.
All right, so we have two, and I'd like to ask council to move to executive session, discussion on two topics. One,
Second.
discussion or questions? Roll call.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Motion carries.
We'll move to executive session at 10:52 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes.
We were in there so long you forgot all our names, didn't you?
No, because the ordinance says I have to read the names in alphabetical order. I'm
All right.
not used to it.
Next item on the agenda is legislation. First piece of legislation is ordinance number O-2011-34. This will serve as a second reading. An ordinance amending ordinance number O-2011-25, authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to execute a cooperation agreement with Claremont County and Batavia Township to submit an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for funding of the Church Street and Chapel Road Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. Let me eliminate that. Should I reread the entire header? Laura? Yes. Let me, should cross that off, I apologize. This will serve as a second reading on ordinance number O-2011-34, an ordinance amending ordinance number O-2011-25, authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to execute a cooperation agreement with Clermont County and Batavia Township to submit an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for funding of the Church Street and Chapel Road Improvements Project. That will serve as a second reading. This is also a second reading on ordinance number O-2011-35, an ordinance pledging cooperation with Batavia Township and Clermont County, Ohio, with respect to the Church Street and Chapel Road Improvements Project, authorizing the mayor to file this ordinance with application for Ohio Public Works Commission funding for said project. Once again, that's a second reading on the ordinance. All right. Next ordinance, ordinance number O-2011-38, an ordinance by the Council of Amelia Village, Ohio, appointing Chuck Kilgore to the position of probationary full-time public works technician for Amelia, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This time I entertain a motion from council to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates. Have a second?
Second.
Discussion or questions?
I'd like to ask Rick about our part-time personnel that we had mentioned in the past. If that would make sense at all, if we could hire 2 part-timers instead of 1 full-time.
The problem with hiring a part-time person as opposed to full-time would be part-time's always in transit, and you can't blame that. They're always looking to better themselves with a full-time position, as would probably be the case. We would go with that. We would always be retraining. I don't think we'd save much money per se, other than I know benefits play a part in that if it's full-time. It works well for summer help because you can always replace summer help. But when we need a full-time person who you count on in the winter with the snow and all that, as opposed to a part-time person, you may not be as eager to accept. You call them at 12 o'clock at night, so I'm just part-time, I'm not coming in, because they never want to get overtime. And they're not going to be that dedicated as well. So I would think best that at least the second person be a full-time person, just for those bases. Whatever, as I said, anytime you have a part-time person there, unless they're retired, they're always going to try and better themselves, and you're just going to be constantly replacing that person, which would be my biggest concern with that.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
This time, I entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number O-2011-38.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
No.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 4-1.
Ordinance number O-2011-38 is adopted. Second ordinance is an ordinance number O-2011-39, an ordinance employing Jim Cook as seasonal part-time public works employee of Amelia Village, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This time I entertain a motion from the council to suspend the rules for 3 readings on 3 dates.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? One thing I have is a correction, Laura. Last name is Koch.
No,
Let's make,
It's COK.
Is it?
Yes.
yeah, that's why I changed it.
No, it's not.
On the
On the
application.
application.
It is. I can go back and get it, but double check.
It is on his application, Mayor.
We have to check that.
Would you like me to go back real quick?
Yeah, would you? Yes, I went to school, I went to school with
Spelled it wrong for
some
all
of his extended family.
They all spell it wrong.
maybe you changed it.
Just so long as it's right on his W-4.
Well, we'll go through the motion and we can just say we'll amend it,
Yeah.
just be whatever the correct spelling.
All right, so we have a first, second on the floor. Any discussion?
And what about the date, beginning date in section 2?
We can amend that. I'm sure Ricky would like to have it as soon as possible, needs the help, so.
Not that soon.
It's already passed.
Amended to July.
I do not do back pay.
That's the same as yesterday. I'm gonna make it, maybe make it
You can make it
Wednesday.
tomorrow.
I was gonna say, can we make it,
You can make it tomorrow, you don't, he doesn't necessarily have to work that day,
Right.
but he's a part-time employee on that day. So make it 19.
okay. Amended to the 19th.
All right.
A first and a second, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
and Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes.
As amended.
Actually, that was to suspend the
That's-
rules.
I was
Oh, that
gonna
was
say.
just a suspended
Yeah.
rules. Okay, let's go here to adopting. Ordinance number O-2011-39.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion and or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes.
I'm sorry, I had that locked in my file cabinet and left the file keys.
We'll figure it out. I'm probably wrong, I usually am. All right, so did we complete there? All right. Ordinance number O-2011-39 is adopted as amended. Yeah, this is the ordinance that you said you had some questions about, Laura?
Oh, Kevin, did you have a chance to look
2011-40?
at 40? This is your appropriation, but I wasn't really sure what you were trying to do. Can this be tabled till next meeting, or do you need it now?
Actually, there's the negative numbers shouldn't be in there. They should all be positive. It should be an additional 5,000 to general other contract services and fire district other professional and technical services.
I thought you were trying to take them, regardless. If you don't need it now, we'll just do it.
As long as no bills come in.
Not with that special meeting anyway.
So,
Yeah, I sent it to you, just amend the numbers how you wanted it.
Okay.
all right. Next item on the agenda is we reopen the floor for very patient public input.
No, I might be wrong, but did we just pass 2 emergency ordinances with 4 votes?
No, we passed. You have 4 votes in the emergency?
No,
No,
the
they were
emergency,
all-
they were all
They were 5, yeah.
5, and then when the actual vote came out, it came down 4 to
Yeah, the
5.
38
That's why.
suspend rules is 5-0. And then to do the hiring, it was 4-1.
For the passage, but not
And then 39 was both 5-0.
Thank you for checking.
Any other public input? Next, we move to council input, and then before we get off into the other council input, I'd like to ask council for scheduling opportunities for third reading on the two ordinances that we read this evening. And I will say that I have my availability for this week is nothing on Wednesday. On Thursday, I could meet at 6. Friday, I could meet as late as 7. Saturday, I'm open all day. Sunday, I'm open all day. And do we have any meeting? What's next week? Next Monday? Do we have any?
No, we finished.
Next Monday, I'm open all day.
I'll be going till Sunday.
Is council available for, let me just take a shot in the dark here and say a week from tonight
Good.
for a special meeting?
Anything after Sunday, I'm back. I'm good for it.
I have something going on, I know, but don't. I've got a vet appointment. There's my brother's birthday on the 25th. And I'm still going to be working downtown, so I'm going to be shaky getting here. And I've got some other things going on that's going to have to get covered.
So we just need to have a quorum, correct? It's a third reading.
So on the 25th, I would be shaky at best.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, we have a quorum. Okay. This time, if it's possible, I'd like to have a motion for a special meeting Monday, the 25th, 7 p.m.
I make a motion, we have a special meeting Monday, the 25th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Discussion or questions?
I'm just going to say that I'm going to vote against it just because I'm not sure I'm going to make it. I hate to vote for something that I'm not sure I'm going to make.
Okay. No problem. Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Nay.
4-1.
We knew that.
Special
I
meeting
just didn't
scheduled
wanna
for
vote
Monday, the
against it, you know.
25th at 7 p.m. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, guys.
Mr. Mayor, you and I talked about maybe trying to move that August 1st meeting to the next day, because I can be there other issues.
We have a meeting scheduled for Monday, August 1st. Our solicitor has a scheduling issue because of the nature of some of the things that we have working. It would be in the best interest to make sure the solicitor is here. Would council be opposed to having a meeting in the first meeting in August being on the 2nd?
Isn't that your national night out?
It's a national night.
Yes, it
No,
is.
it could be on the
That would
3rd.
be a bad night.
We'd all be out.
Yeah,
3rd is fine with me, that's the
We can have
Wednesday.
it at the park.
3rd, yeah. Is the 3rd acceptable to everyone?
Yep.
All right.
7 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. As I said a second, I know I've got something going on this too. I know for sure, but I don't know.
National Night Out.
Yeah, now I do.
It's your big date night, national night out.
Should we motion for that too?
Yes. I'd like to entertain a motion from council to reschedule the August 1st meeting to August 3rd, 7 p.m.
Make a motion, we move the August 1st meeting to August 3rd, 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
And Julie, you make the appropriate notification. Thank you. So now we open the floor to council input.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize our solicitor to draw up an ordinance contracting Amelia Village Police Services through the Claremont County Sheriff's Department.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
Draw up a contract for, how was it you worded it again?
Did we authorize
Authorize her
the
to
solicitor to draw up an ordinance?
draw up an ordinance for that. Okay.
Yes.
Under discussion also, assuming there should be 3 readings.
Kevin, did you hear that?
I beg your pardon?
And it will be done in 3
Three
readings.
readings.
Any other discussion?
Got it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Campbell,
Yay.
Ms. Gerber,
Yay.
Mr. Hart,
Yay.
Mr. Rosser,
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Nay.
Passes 4-1.
Other council input this evening? Public input? Any motion to adjourn at 11:04 p.m.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Let Bob know I took his place this week.